Oh, I'm excited about tonight. Welcome, everyone. I'm Pam Shea, AAUW Oregon State Program Vice President. And tonight I have the honor of introducing the women who are key to bringing this award celebration to you. First of all, let me introduce Nancy Brown. Nancy, give us a wave here. Our state events coordinator, Nancy's job description does not adequately, and you know this, describe all the things she does to pull events like this annual meeting together. Nancy provides us with technical expertise, Zoom management, YouTube channel support, and ongoing communication about programs and events. And Nancy, we're very appreciative. And you'll also be hearing this evening from longtime devoted and extraordinary member, Marty Stevens. Marty, if you would raise your hand, that'll bring you up here and everybody can see you. I want all the 48 people to give you a wave.
Raise your virtual hand, honey.
Yeah, your virtual hand.
That moves you to the front of the queue.
There she is. All right, Marty, for this evening's event, Marty is responsible for gathering nominations for Breaking Barriers Achievement Award and for managing the selection process of the award winner. Tonight, Marty will be introducing our 2024 recipient. And finally, the woman responsible for pulling together this entire awards evening is Claudia Gray. Claudia is our dynamic, tireless, and committed Oregon Funds State Funds Chair. Through her diligent work in fund development, Claudia helps to support our mission and to ensure our future. This evening, she will guide us through the celebration of award winners. So it's my understanding that we're turning this over right now to Marty. You're on, Marty. Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for being here.
Thank you, Pam.
Yeah. Thank you, Pam. It is my delight to introduce the AAUW of Oregon Breaking Barriers Achievement Award recipient for 2024. As you may know, this annual award recognizes an Oregon woman currently not an AAUW member and/or recognizes an Oregon group who within the past 5 years has exemplified AAUW's mission in a manner that has had a demonstrative impact on our state's women and girls in the areas of equity and education. The Eugene Lane branch, under the leadership of Sheila Remmerman, nominated this year's recipient, Jenifer Willer. You will be interested in knowing that Jenifer earned her BS in civil engineering at Oregon State. A JD at Lewis and Clark Law School, or School of Law, should I say, and a BA in political science at Oregon State. Jenifer is the city engineer for Eugene and is a stellar example of a successful woman in a male-dominated field. She has used her many awards to promote the need for women in engineering, to increase the visibility that encourages women to pursue a career in engineering. It was clear to our selection committee that Jenifer embodies professionalism, expertise, and personal dedication in improving the quality of life in her community through the advancement of public works services and technology. She reaches out in the community through giving interviews and writing articles to educate the need for women engineers, and she encourages and mentors new civil engineers. Jenifer's work supports AAUW of Oregon goals of sustainability, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Her leadership qualities are a great fit with AAUW. Communication skills, leadership skills, facilitation skills, inclusivity, and collaboration. Jenifer is a role model for women and girls in much more than her engineering career. So now if we could have the proverbial drum roll. AAUW of Oregon is proud to recognize Jenifer Willer as a breaker of barriers. Jenifer.
Thank you so much, Marty. And thank you, Oregon AAUW, for selecting me for the Breaking Barriers Award. I really have so much appreciation for the history of this organization, your mission, your values, and I'm just really grateful for this recognition. As Marty introduced me, my name is Jenifer Willer. I am the city engineer for the city of Eugene, and my pronouns are she, her. I grew up here in Lane County, Oregon, and graduated from Springfield High School. I went on to attend Oregon State University and Lewis and Clark Law School, earning degrees in political science, civil engineering, and law. Upon earning my civil engineering degree, I moved to Idaho to work for an engineering consulting firm and returned to the Eugene area in 2005 when I accepted a position at the city of Eugene. Based on my educational background, it should be clear that I love learning, which is why I so appreciate the mission of AAUW. While learning is a passion for me, my path to becoming an engineer was influenced by the challenges of being a woman in a male-dominated field. For perspective, in 2020, the American Society of Civil Engineers, the leading professional organization for civil engineers, published a workforce demographics report using Bureau of Labor Statistics data. The report showed that in 2019, 25% of the graduates with bachelor's degrees in civil engineering were female. The report went on to show that women make up of only 16% of the engineering workforce and only 14% of the civil engineering workforce. While I grew up interested in engineering and started college with this in mind, a year before my graduation, I shifted my focus to political science, as I decided that I wanted to go to law school, which I did, but this choice was heavily influenced by being a gender minority in the program and instances of sexism that I experienced. Aspects I frankly was unprepared for and I didn't anticipate when I started the engineering program. Again, I love learning and I don't regret the choice of getting a political science degree and going to law school. It really was a fantastic education, and I think it shaped the skills and expertise that I have today. But after law school and my successful passage of the bar exam, I felt a bit lost. I just didn't have the passion for the various areas of law that I had experienced so far, including corporate law, criminal law, and family law. After some deep introspection, I came to the realization that I regretted not completing that engineering degree. I wasn't sure how I would end up using it, whether as an engineer or as a lawyer, but about 7 years, yes, 7 years after leaving the engineering program, I met with a civil engineering professor, again at Oregon State, and talked to him about my plans. He was excited about the experience I brought from attending law school and moved quickly to support my return for a year and complete that engineering degree. Even as a gender minority, I recognize that I was very privileged with the support for pursuing an engineering career. From that engineering professor or university professor that supported my re-entry into the program, to generations of family support to be interested in math, science, and engineering. I was always very interested in public infrastructure that makes our world work, and I mean always. As a small child, I started early wearing an old hard hat of my dad's and playing with Tonka trucks and building countless roads in the house and in the yard around our home, just so my dolls and other toys could get to where they needed to go. Growing up, both my father and my maternal grandfather were engineers for public agencies, and they were always so supportive of my interests in math, science, and engineering. For example, on family road trips, I remember stopping at fish hatcheries along the Columbia River that my dad worked on and him explaining how they worked to me. I also had a great-grandfather who was an engineer, and I never knew him, but I knew that I had this legacy. So it didn't occur to me until I went to college that this was a profession that women just didn't choose. And I took some tangents, thus the political science and law degrees, but I never shook my interest in civil engineering. And here I am today after almost 25 years in the profession. And every time I write that, I'm just like, my mind is blown. That's 25 years. But one question that I always get is, what is a civil engineer? Civil engineers are involved in all parts of the built environment, as well as the protection and restoration of the natural environment. They design, build, supervise, and manage the infrastructure that we use every day. In public agencies, think of streets, paths, bridges, sewer systems, water systems, street lighting, and the list goes on and on. So, what is the typical day for a civil engineer? Well, it really depends on one specific job. My first job was focused on calculations and detailed design work, investigating current conditions that needed to be addressed with field surveys and testing and inspecting construction work to ensure that it met plans and requirements as designed. When I came to the city of Eugene, I became a project manager, and I became responsible for managing the scope of the work to be included on a project, managing the budget for the project, and managing the project schedule. I oversaw a technical team working on the design and construction of each project and ensuring the project met the city's requirements. Later, I became a principal engineer in the engineering division, which meant that I oversaw a whole team of project managers and technical staff, supporting various public works projects, including preparing city reports and managing the section's budget and personnel. Now, since late 2019, I am the city engineer. And while my job is not as technical as it once was, I am still an engineer and responsible for setting standards, approving decisions, and providing guidance on the projects and practices of the division. Under the engineering division, there are about 80 full-time staff. I manage an operating budget of about $15 million a year, and the engineering division manages about $33 million per year in capital public infrastructure projects. I am so grateful that I still chose engineering and public works. Working in public works for nearly 25 years, I think one of the big takeaways for me is the pride public works staff take in working to maintain and build a safer Eugene. Our responsibilities are everywhere throughout the city. Our impacts start feet below the surface where pipes convey water that we spend countless hours moving and cleaning to protect our environment. Our parks and transportation network ensure people can safely play and move throughout the community. We make decisions on projects and with policies to reduce our impacts on the environment from greenhouse gas emissions. Behind all of this is people who make it happen, often with little fanfare. The group of dedicated staff are always researching ways to do their jobs better, to be innovative while being cost-effective and sustainable. And this passion for making lives better in our community isn't always something that's easily recognized. Most people take for granted these basic things that we're so used to being able to just turn on a faucet and water comes out, or flush the toilet and the water goes down the drain. But I'm fortunate to have witnessed and been part of this work every day for the last 19 years at the City of Eugene. And public works is a great way for people who want to make a difference in their community to contribute. My personality traits of being an introvert and modest about my achievements have made it really hard for me to feel comfortable talking about myself. But I've come to recognize that one of the biggest ways that I can contribute to making this profession more accessible to young women, as well as any aspiring engineer, is just to talk about myself and what I do. Being an example for people to be able to say, hey, she doesn't look or talk like what I thought an engineer was. Maybe I can do that too, is really critical to bringing people into the profession. I know this because having those examples and mentors did that for me. So how do I incorporate being a mentor into my life? Well, one way is that there are actions I've chosen to add on to my regular job to help less experienced engineers be successful. When I became a principal engineer and later as city engineer, I initiated and continued training opportunities for new staff to learn how to be more successful at doing their jobs. For example, I created a 6-session project manager training that was focused on the development and construction of public infrastructure projects. Not only did I cover the traditional technical practice of project management, such as managing scope, schedule, and budget, but I also included coaching on self-awareness and emotional intelligence, developing trust and confidence, systems thinking, and how to get things done. In these classes, I mentored small groups of about 4 people at a time through the program to build their professional network and knowledge in project management. Additionally, I'm currently, and have been for a number of years now, the Education Committee Chair for the Oregon chapter of the American Public Works Association. And I'm regularly developing and identifying training opportunities for my public works peers across the state. Clearly, education and training are very important to me. The most basic action that I do in being a mentor is I try to be an example and simply talk about myself and what I do to everybody I can. One example is participating in a program with the Lane Education Service District to partner technical professionals with local teachers. I spent a year talking to and being a resource to a Willamette High School teacher and talking to him about my profession, the education requirements, and the things that would support high schoolers interested in engineering. I've met with interns and high school students to talk about what I do. Our engineering division has had a robust internship program for many years. I've had community members reach out to me to talk to high school students, family members, friends about engineering. And one personal story that I like to share is when my teenage niece introduced me to a friend that is interested in engineering who asked me about the things she can do to prepare herself for college and the profession. My advice to her, by the way, was to be open to experiences, which really applies to everything in life. But I went on to advise that math and sciences are important, but so is just learning how things work and how they're built. I heard from my sister that the student followed this advice in the form of signing up for electives in woodworking and robotics, things she had never tried or thought of trying before. My sister shared a conversation with the student's father, who was a bit teary, talking about being amazed about how much she loves the classes and how much me talking to his daughter meant to her. Engineering is still very much a male-dominated profession. I already mentioned the more recent demographic data, but based on my personal observations, while the graduation rates have improved, I'm pretty sure the workforce numbers have not changed in decades. But diversity matters. I know that seeing people that one can identify with in a profession allows one to see opportunities for themselves. I am convinced that me being in a leadership role has made a difference in our engineer demographics at the city. Recalling that nationally, only 14% of the civil engineering workforce are women. In the Eugene Public Works Engineering Division, 37% of our engineers are women. While it's not equality, these numbers are drastically different than the national data. Being recognized with a national APWA award in 2020 and the Breaking Barriers Award are fantastic platforms for me to share the opportunities in engineering for young people. And I hope that through newspaper articles, radio interviews, talking to groups like yours, my story has reached the ears of a young person, a teacher, or a parent or grandparent or other supportive adult who can say, you should look into being an engineer to somebody that they know. Anyone who likes understanding how things work, solving puzzles and problems, likes math and science, although all subjects help, being an engineer is a great profession for them. People who are interested in the infrastructure that makes lives better and safer, such as clean water, clean air, and transportation, civil engineering specifically is a great profession. So, to wrap this up, don't underestimate your contributions to helping girls and women find opportunities in STEM education and careers. It can be simple as just providing encouragement. Thank you so much for this Breaking Barriers Award. I have so much gratitude to the Lane County branch for inviting me to speak with them and their nomination of me. And I'm very touched that Oregon AAUW selected me, so thank you. And I believe we now have some time for questions.
Jenifer, thank you so much. Your remarks are so integral to what we in AAUW are about and what we want to promote. Excuse me. And your remarks, I'm sure, resonated with each one of us in many different ways. We'll take questions now, as Jenifer mentioned, and the virtual hands will be recognized, and I will do my best to recognize, and I know I have helpers through Nancy and others that will help me recognize hands. Pat Hines, you have your hand up. Pat is from Northeastern Oregon, Jenifer.
Actually, that was a mistake. I was trying to figure out how to applaud.
Okay.
Well, I'll accept applause too.
Yeah. That's in the reactions area at the bottom of your screen. If anybody else wants to show
Linda
fireworks or
O'Hara
anything.
has the applaud hand up. Linda O'Hara has the applaud hand.
Yeah, and Claudia has a consistent, the consistent fireworks going on. Thank you, Claudia.
I just want to make a comment that a number of us have made some really positive statements to you, my dear Jenifer, in the chat. While you were talking about how you were mentoring young people, I got goosebumps, and I'm kind of a cynic, and that doesn't happen very often. So I just want to thank you so very much for what you're doing to encourage young women.
Thank you for those remarks. You know, as I said, I find myself really fortunate because I did have family members to talk to me and encourage me and provide an example of what engineers are and what they do. And I know from talking to a lot of people, a lot of us who go into engineering, it's because we had family, that we knew about engineering from family. And so that's one thing that many of us can do is just have an open mind to engineering and mention it as a possibility for people, because a lot of people just don't know about it. And it's such an amazing career for so many people. And I think there's a lot of people out there that would really love doing it.
Within your remarks, Jenifer, there was some encouragement to us, and I know we felt that. Looking at parents of the kids, do you have anything more than on what you included in your remarks as how you would encourage parents to support their daughters in this field from a very young age and then moving through the years?
Yeah, you know, I think that things are better nowadays than maybe they were back when I was growing up in the 70s or even the 80s or before that. But, you know, I still think that there is a lot of stereotyping of who are the people that are good at math and good at science. And I think as a parent, you just have to be really, really careful to be aware of what your kind of unconscious biases are of who can do what or what you think of as a normal mathematician or scientist is. And when your kids have an interest in something, you know, to not think, oh, people like us don't do that.
Yeah. Many of us who are retired educators or maybe present day educators have heard some of those comments.
For sure.
Yes. So many of us are.
We do have a question, Marty.
Oh, go ahead.
Terry Schroeder.
I just want to commend you very much on winning this award, but I also would like to say that the committee, you absolutely knocked it out of the park yet again, as we know that you will do. And everybody should be very proud that the state is continuing to find these type of people, as you are, Jenifer, to represent the underrepresented in our various fields. But thank you very much. Your comments were wonderful.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who wrote these great comments in the chat. I'm just really touched. Thank you.
Okay, now Mary Pat.
Thank you. Yes, well, I think you're our poster woman for AAUW, actually. I mean, really, you are exactly what we hope for every woman, not necessarily that they be engineers, but that they follow whatever path they desire and do so with, well, you had prejudice, but hopefully without prejudice. I had to laugh a little bit because I'm a political scientist. When I was in school, that was not a very friendly field for women. So if you were able to go into political science to have shelter from sexism, then that's progress. I don't think that that's really a good thing. But no, really, I just commend you, and I think it's wonderful that you're taking who you are and what you have done out to the public. In order to help other women and or girls and boys for that matter. Why not? So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Pat. Jenifer, you've already mentioned something about this, but I wondered if it's not too personal, could you elaborate at all on some of the roadblocks that you've experienced in your career, or you've seen other women in engineering experience?
Yeah, so I feel like well, I mean, for sure, what really kind of influenced just my education, when I talk about some of the sexism, and I imagine that some of you that have gone through school when you did, a lot of these things are probably not going to be surprising, but it's a lot of it is the comments. And, you know, even though it was men engineers who mentored me and my family, it still never occurred to me that this wasn't a career that women would choose. And it wasn't until I went to school and in college, and I heard comments like, oh, I hope some of you are here to actually become engineers and not just find husbands in class, because everybody knows that engineers make the best husbands. And and I mean, and that was in the 80s, which, at the time, being a child from that time, I thought we were so advanced and we were like, here we are. And then it's like, oh yeah, I guess things really are this way. But I mean, and then there's just all the little comments. I mean, I would say that in my career, the people that I worked directly with, the supervisors I had, the mentors in my work have always been really good, supportive people. It's the people around me that we were either working for with as clients or things like that, or contractors in the field. That's where I would get all the little comments about, I'd like to talk to the real engineer. I mean, that's nice what you're saying, but I'd like to talk to the real engineer, the person who actually signed these plans. And I'm like, this is Jenifer on there. I don't know who this other real engineer is that you think you might be encountering. And so it's all of those little comments. And it takes a certain amount of self-confidence to not let that get to you. And depending on what your background is and kind of the messages and the way that you've been supported just growing up, it doesn't surprise me that graduation rates for women in engineering are only 25%. And then somehow we're losing those people that are graduating and having even less numbers in the workforce. I mean, significantly less. So there's something that's still happening in this profession and in our culture that is not supportive for women to choose this career.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up, Jenifer, because AAUW's research has shown for some time that that is an issue. Why are so many women leaving? And some of the answers are just what you've mentioned too, that the culture around it, and things that women need to fill them are maybe not always right there in that career.
I suspect that is a big part of it. but I'm also a very optimistic person. And, I think that there is a potentially optimistic side of this story too, that perhaps women are bringing to engineering something more than what is traditionally brought to the career, and they may be being promoted or moved up into fields that are non-engineering because they bring that, they got this really solid technical background, but maybe they're bringing, some of the more other stereotypical kind of characteristics that you might associate with a woman because they're allowed to develop those skills.
Yeah, really good points. Thank you. Another question. You work as the city engineer in a university town. How do you interact with the university in development, and can you share with us anything about that?
So we interact a lot with the U of O. For me as a civil engineer, not as much with anybody that's particularly interested in that because U of O does not have an engineering program. But we do get interns from the U of O in their from their planning program, that they come and work for us in our transportation planning program. And so we definitely, we use a lot of interns. We get civil engineering interns from all the engineering schools every year. Here in the state of Oregon, we participate in a statewide program that helps place engineering interns around the city or around the state. And then we also have usually around 3 or 4 interns from U of O in our transportation planning section every year. So we are very supportive of bringing college students into our city programs and giving them a taste of working for a public agency. And I think I know that we have current employees, regular employees, that at one time did an internship with the city and loved it so much that they applied when there was a regular position available.
Thank you. I find it fascinating learning more about the infrastructure of relationships within entities. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions, and I think we're going to have do our swan song with Jenifer. I know you are connected with Eugene Lane Branch because they're so close by, and I want to thank the Eugene Lane Branch again for nominating you, Jenifer. And we wish you the best as you further your career and encouraging girls, women, to move forward, and maybe in our lifetime we can even see some lessening of stereotypes.
I agree. Thank you so much again for having me. Thank you so much for the award.
I would like to comment that there are a number of comments in the chat, and I just want to read one from Connie McGuire. As the mother of a woman propulsion engineer, I can attest to the discrimination she experienced in Florida at Space Coast just within the last 10 years. It wasn't until she began work in Connecticut for Pratt & Whitney, which I think is interesting, did she excel and was able to have a patent for jet engines at the age of 29. She loves the doing of engineering. So thank you for sharing that about your daughter.
That's great. Thank you.
I was at the business forum in Portland in December, and I was really pleased. There was a gentleman at my table who was from one of the big construction companies in Portland, and he was talking with another woman attendee from ZGF Architects, and talking about how at the point that some people have kids, it's really difficult to figure out how they can accommodate women who may have a young kid and need to brush pump on the job site. And so, we need to think through some things like that to help those people progress.
Yeah. Thank you, Marcia.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
But it was
Okay.
really nice to figure out that somebody in their 40s was paying attention to that as a man.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're back to Nancy or Claudia or Pam.
I'm sitting here listening to this wonderful woman who's so inspirational and thinking I was a math major in high school. And my German professor of trigonometry told me he would flunk me if I stayed as a math major. I'm glad things have changed, Jenifer. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. You're an inspiration. And I think the committee did, as someone said, did a stellar job. Thank you. We're going to turn now to the program, which you all should have received. I hope that you have it. And I want to begin because Nancy Brown is going to put up this is the last page of the program. When it was announced that the AAUW art contest had been won by 4 people out of hundreds, they take it down to 50. One of them was our program vice president, Pam Shea, who introduced this whole program and tonight. And I looked at that and thought, is that our Pam Shea? And did some checking, and yes, it was. And so we're highlighting her on the back of this because I don't think enough was made about the fact that she's one of 4 in the country who was chosen for this. So I asked her later, did they notify you? She said, yes, they not only notified her, they sent her 100 cards. I immediately sent this out to all the state board, all the branch presidents and the funds chairs, just because I thought that AAUW had not made a big enough deal about it. I did mention to Pam, though, that of the 4 winners, 3 of them were named Pam. I told her I thought it might be a conspiracy.
Claudia, thank you so much. Thanks everyone who's had a nice, kind word to say to me. I really appreciate it. Thank
Well,
you.
it's just very impressive, and it's such a cute picture. I mentioned it to a friend, and she said, oh, I sent that today to a friend of mine because I just thought it was so neat.
Oh, nice. That's great.
So
What more could I ask for? Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations. Nancy, if you'd please go to page 2. Some of this will be a surprise to some of you. Page 2 lists the top 10 branches in their AAUW Funds donations for 2023. And you will see there on the left, the branches that are ranked 1 to 10 for total contributions. And on the right, branches ranked 1 to 10 for per capita contributions. That's based on their membership as of the 1st of February. All of those branches will receive their certificates. I'll be sending those out tomorrow to each of them. My own branch is the Hillsborough Forest Grove, and I was able to announce this at our meeting a couple of weeks ago because I wanted them to know how proud I was of them and that they got a little sneak peek on that. Below this are the 5-star branches in this state, and you'll see that Salem branch was a 5-star branch for all of the 5 categories. This is a national program. They were only one of 9 in the nation, and that amazed me that there were only 9 that completed this. If your branch is looking for a focus to go along with a strategic plan, make sure that your meetings are compliant with the mission of AAUW, please look on the National AAUW website for the requirements for this particular program. I looked for my own branch and realized we're already doing many of them. We just have not gone through the 5-star recognition program. So we're going to try doing that. And I encourage you to look at that for your branches. Page 3. This again will be a surprise to some people because some branches don't tell their honorees until tonight. The AAUW Oregon policy states that each branch is entitled to 1 name honoree for every $500 contributed by the branch and all its members, minus any individual donations of $1,000 or more. Branches are often entitled to more honorees than they choose to name because they want it to be a very select, special honor for these people. But there you can see all of the branches who've named their honorees. All of these certificates have gone out to these branches not to the people, to the branches. And some of them have already been given out. Some of them won't be given out until after tonight, because as I said, it may be a surprise for the members in their branches. I'll give you a minute to look at this list. It's very impressive in my mind. All of these branches, you can see how many, for example, how much money Salem donated, how many honorees they have. And then if you look down near the bottom of the page, those are the major donors who in each branch gave $1,000 or more, and they may choose their own honorees. There have been a couple of people in the state who've decided they do not want to name anyone, so I chose not to list their names there. But you can see other than that who honored people. All of those people have received their certificates also. These certificates are sent out in a PDF form on email to the branch chairs or president if there's not a funds chair, and I ask them to print them out on a parchment paper. When we meet in person, I can print these out and give them to people at the convention, and people take them home to their branches. When we meet on Zoom, that's simply not possible. There are far too many. I think I had 98 certificates this year. That's far too many to mail out. So we ask the branches to do that work for me. Thank you. Page 4, please. When we get to page 4, we start in on the Century Club. As part of the Legacy Circle team, I've been meeting with a woman from Utah who covers a couple of states there, and she'd never seen this before. We were fortunate in Oregon to have the Donors Club, the Century Club, started. As you can see, my name is at the top, 37, because Dawn Dressler of Portland branch and I were the first ones to do this. Dawn was our funds chair, and she set it up. So this has been going in Oregon for 37 years. She's no longer with us, but she's the one who started this program. This is for people who've given at least $100 in that year. And there's a file card. I have a card file and keep track, whoever's the state funds chair, we keep track of how many years they've continued to do this. Now and then, for whatever reason, someone will miss a year. And if they then give $100 the next year, I can go back and figure out how many years it's been. Some of you have really kept good track of how often you've done this. And once in a while, if I make a mistake, I hear from somebody and can go back and correct that card. So if you are one of our Century Club donors, please do me a favor, check your year, make sure that you agree with me, and let me know if for some reason you don't. If you can scroll, yeah, and then go, pick up that next one. We had, I think, 19 first-year members this time. I was a little concerned because we had at least that many first-year members last year. Not all of them are second-year members, but they may be next year. We never know what they're going through at that particular time, or they may just have forgotten. If you look at the bottom of that page, the memorials and tributes, this is a national program that's been in operation for at least 30 years, but not many branches take advantage of it. It's for $25. You can choose to honor someone living or remember someone deceased. And what happens usually is if you look down under memorials near the bottom, Edith Lippert, who was a longtime member of Hillsborough Forest Grove, died early last year. And you'll see all the branch members who sent in donations in her name. And then I send a nice engraved card to her family. When they had the memorial service for Edith, her daughter Rachel had put up all of the AAUW cards. This is something I really encourage you all to do. It's $25. National will not raise that amount, even though it's been at least, it's been probably 35 or 40 years actually, but they still think $25 is a good amount. And that's, to me, that's a real bargain to have a nice card sent in your name to honor someone. So ask your funds chair about that if that's interesting to you. Does anybody want to comment on any of this? I'm going very quickly. No? Okay. We're doing fine then. We're up to page
page 7. This is the Legacy Circle members in Oregon. Lots of you are here tonight. I'm so glad to see you or hear your voice. We have 2 members in the state who are anonymous. We have 8 members who lived in Oregon and now live out of state, but they're still considered Legacy Circle members in Oregon, which means I write to them 3 times a year. Legacy Circle members get a card always for Valentine's Day, and one in February and one in August for Women's Equity Day. And they also get a birthday card on their birthday. We have 13 people in this state who are not members, and we're not quite sure why they're in the Legacy Circle. There's a couple in Salem, man and wife. I've asked the Salem branch year after year. No one knows them. I don't know why they are Legacy Circle members, but they have been for at least 35 years. Our thought is that maybe one of them had a parent, a mother, grandmother who was in AAUW, and for that reason, it's important to them. But we don't know, and I don't ask. I just tell them thank you regularly. So we have 78 total considered in the Oregon Legacy Circle. This is, if you look at the bottom of the page, please, Nancy. This is made up of people who've included national AAUW in their will or estate plan, and there are lots of ways to do this. There's no minimum required, and you don't need to tell anybody what you have left. You don't even have to tell AAUW. The only thing we ask, as I say every time I mention it, please don't leave us a boat. Boats are difficult to get rid of. On the other hand, we have been left a gold mine in Montana. We've been left ancestors' jewelry. We've been left cereal stock. A couple of people in Portland branch owned Kellogg stock. Whatever you feel would be important and beneficial to AAUW, we really appreciate it, no matter what it is and no matter what the amount other than a boat. Any questions about that? Good. All right. I'm going to then turn this over. You've seen the branch honorees. Now, it's always a surprise at our annual meeting. We're going to announce the state named honorees. When we do this, the honorees from the previous year receive all of the nominations. The nominations come to me from the state board, branch presidents, any member who wants to nominate a state person active at the state level. And then I give everything to the previous year's winners. They choose the last year's winners. So our last winners in this that you know about are Betsy McDowell from the Salem branch, Joyce Zook from the Salem branch, and the third was our legal advocacy plaintiff, Vicki. And I did not ask Vicki to participate in this because she doesn't know any of these people. She lives in California. So Betsy and Joyce, you're on.
Thank you, Claudia. I'll just have to say that last year when I received this award, I was so speechless that I forgot to tell you thank you. And I've been so appreciative of being recognized in this way. But the best part of getting this award is being able to announce to you this year the state named honorees for 2023. And so I have the privilege of announcing 2 of those honorees. And the first one is a member who coordinated Nick Whistle Scholarship Awards for all of the branches in Oregon. This involved recruiting students to apply, making the special funds project reimbursement system so that the online branch could send 1 student, designing a process which allows many members to vote on the selected candidates, employing a travel agency to arrange flights to the conference, communicating regularly with all branch contacts until the processes were complete, notifying winners of the scholarship, and providing details about the next steps. Then they also registered each Oregon winner online. She also arranged for all 12 Oregon representatives to Niquissel to meet and have a group photo taken. This conference is a transformational global opportunity for young women, and Wendy Cook, member of Eugene Lane Branch, has streamlined this process, which has encouraged many branches in Oregon to participate in fundraising to empower these girls. And our Salem branch was part of that process, and we just so appreciate Wendy Cook for all of the work that she has done this year in getting this organized in a way that will be very encouraging for years to come. Okay, the second awardee. This member is an officer of our state board who has done a fantastic job with her innovative and creative applications to improve the financial system. She eliminated specialized software by simplifying the record-keeping system. She invested state funds that received the best interest rates at the lowest risk. Monica Weyhe has a knowledge of nonprofit finance practices combined with a persistence in dealing with banking institutions, and it has been invaluable to AAUW of Oregon. In addition, she played a key role in the organization and success of the state conference in Ashland last year, in her role as registrar and also creating registration packets. She also connected with enrichment tour venues, verifying tour reservations, and solving last-minute snafus. Thank you, Monica Weyhe.
And I'm Betsy McDowell from Salem Branch. And it was really, a surprise and an honor to be named a named gift honoree last year, especially with Joyce, because we have been friends in this branch for such a long time. And we've sort of gone through all these ups and downs together, and even life's ups and downs together. So that was, it was just a lovely topper to a wonderful meeting in Ashland. Thank you again, Nancy Brown and Claudia Gray for that moment. My nominee, you'll kind of guess who it is immediately, but I will tell you the comments that were submitted with her nomination. Her leadership style is calm and considerate, and she knows when to stand back and when to step in. AAUW of Oregon has benefited from her professional experience leading library groups to better understanding, acceptance of change, and building consensus. Another person wrote, I have watched Linda for almost 2 years navigate the interesting situations that she's encountered as president with grace, equanimity, and calmness. Her leadership style conveys a sense of command, purpose, and care for all those affected by her decisions. She's been careful to seek and consider the opinions and counsel of others on the board of directors and the branch leadership before making her final decisions on matters that affect us all. And then the last tribute, Linda has been a wonderful mentor, assuring that all state activities and records are in order for her successor, Catherine. And Catherine has been included in Linda's decision-making process this past year. This is a great way to assure a smooth succession of leadership for our AAUW of Oregon organization. And Oregon is known in AAUW world as a great state, and Linda has helped us keep it that way. Thank you so much, Linda, for your leadership and friendship these past 2 years.
Thank you, Joyce and Betsy. Monica, did you want to say something? There's Linda. I'm assuming Wendy maybe is not on the call tonight, but you can see from what they've said about these three, why they were chosen. It was really no contest. And I have to be honest, the nominations just poured in for all three of them. So many of them said similar things. I'm pleased that Betsy and Joyce were able to break out some of the individual comments. Congratulations to the two of you and to Wendy. You want to say something, Linda? You look like you're...
Well, Thank you all so much. It's an honor. It's been really an interesting and fun time to be president. I've met such wonderful, talented women from around the state that I never would have met otherwise. So it's been a wonderful experience. Thank you.
Congratulations. Monica, congratulations to you.
Thank you. I want to thank you all too. And it's been so great working with the current board, and I'll have another year with some of the board and some new board members as well. And I'm happy that I was able to do what I could. And it's been great working with Linda, Nancy, all of you.
Congratulations. Thank you to both of you. I will mail your certificates tomorrow. It made me so proud that you three were chosen, and thank you to Betsy and Joyce for doing that for me. The other thing I will mail tomorrow to everyone is a program, so that I make sure that every branch president has a program, so that if they weren't here tonight, they can at least print out the pages for their branch honorees. Those will all go out tomorrow. That ends our program for tonight.
Claudia, we have a hand raised, Sheila Rammerman.
I can't see it, so Nancy, just call it out. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you, Nancy. Claudia, I just had a quick question. I think you answered it. You're going to email Wendy tomorrow and let her know that she's been given this award?
Yes, and I will send her certificate tomorrow also.
Okay, great.
Is there anything else that someone would like to say, please, before we finish this? If not, I will say thank you so much to Nancy Brown. She designed this background just for the award ceremony tonight and helped me set everything up. I think we owe her more than we could ever pay her or let her know how much we appreciate her. Without her, this would not have happened tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for supporting AAUW Funds. Please think about the Legacy Circle, and please thank honorees in your branch. If they're on that list, let them know you appreciate their work. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you.
Nice.
Marsha Kelly has your hand up.
I want to just thank Claudia for her consistent work. As long as I have been in AAUW, she has been advocating for funds, and that's one of the reasons why the state of Oregon is usually
in the top 10. In the top 10 every year. Marsha, thank you. Nancy Brown made me one of those AAUW coasters. I'm a historical artifact. She didn't call me old, but she might as well have. Thank you. All right, anything else? If not, we're done. Thank you. Good night.
Thanks. Great job.